Green features interesting people, topics, and points of view. And now, Talk Evergreen and your host, Sister Tanya Sellers.
Good evening and welcome back to Talk Evergreen. My name is Tanya Sellers and I am the Evangelistic Growth Group Director here at Evergreen Missionary Baptist Church of Oakland, California. If you have not done so, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and share this live broadcast. List your city and state in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from and please feel free to ask questions as we are live. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Evergreen of Oakland. I'm very excited to be here tonight with our live audience, and we have a very special guest with us this evening. Tonight's guest is Brother Donald E. Lacey Jr., writer, director, actor, comedian, and activist. Donald is the executive director of Love Life Foundation, which was founded for Donald's 16-year-old daughter, Loisha, who was murdered on October the 20th, 1997, an innocent victim to a shooting. Welcome to Talk Evergreen, and please reintroduce yourself and tell us about Donald E. Lacey, your accomplishments, the tragedy with your daughter, which led to the Love Life Foundation.
Well, first of all, giving honor and glory to God. Home. This is my church, Bishop Brandon, who I love dearly.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me. I'm a son of Oakland. Actually, former pastor Bishop Pinkert was best friends with my father, Donald Lacey Sr. I know him since I was a child. They were fishing buddies, so I was coming here. Been coming here for years, and it's good to be here. You know, Oakland through and through. Educated here, grew up here, and you know, I always tell the youngsters that I serve now, I wish I could take you in a time machine and show you the Black community in Oakland back in the days of the '60s and the '70s.
Right.
Those Black businesses from Lake Merritt to San Leandro border, and there were other ethnicities, but we really looked out for each other. We took care of each other.
Right.
And that's what I try to do with the Love Life Foundation, is instill in the youngsters the love, and I will say the presence of the Black man in the home. I have my father, I have his brothers, my uncles, his friends who were like my uncles. So part of the problem with our youngsters today is after the crack cocaine epidemic in the prison industrial complex, the Black man was removed from the equation. And that old saying, to be a man, you gotta see a man. So a lot of these young men out here don't have that male role model like I had growing up. So part of what I try to do is fill that void with other Black men who work with me and just, steer them on the right path, teach them to love God, love their community, love their family, and love yourself. Pull up them pants, act like you got some sense, you know what I mean? And respect these queens. And man, we've been out here 29 years. And you asked a question on how it started. It was my daughter's idea. And I've told this story a million times, so forgive me.
And we have her lovely picture right on the side of you,
And her name is Loisha Adama Lacey, which Loisha is Igbo and Nigerian. It means love life in English. And I gave her that name because, as God is my witness, I delivered her on the freeway while driving.
Wow.
I had one hand on the wheel and one hand between her mom's legs, pulling, and she was panicking.
So she came in the world being special.
She had a mission.
She had a mission.
And part of how I've been able to cope with her tragic murder is that I knew it was all part of God's plan. In fact, on her birth certificate, I wrote place of birth 580 freeway. Attending position.
I love it.
Donald Lacey, BD, baby's dad. So, and as the Bible says, the name of a person describes the attributes. And she was just full of love. She was full of life. She was a conflict resolution mediator. Emma Klein was very successful. And a few months before she was killed, a friend of hers was murdered, James Valerie, who, coincidence or not, they were born on the same day, January 24th, 1981.
Okay.
And she said, Daddy, she said, Daddy, I'm so tired of seeing my friends die.
Yeah.
I want to do something. And I said, well, what do you want to do? She said, I want to start a movie. I want you to help me write a play because I'm in the entertainment business and I want to honor my friend. And I remember we hugged and her cousins were there and we were crying, we had prayer. And I've never been prouder of an individual because as heartbroken as she was, she wanted to take that pain and do something good. So unfortunately, 4 months later, October 20th, I was in Los Angeles about to go into the Improv. And I got a page from my wife, 911, 911. And I called her and she said Louis Shea had been murdered. And I remember I was getting pages all night. And my initial reaction was to get revenge on people. I was calling people back. Somehow people got my page number. I didn't know. Right. Said, Mr. Lacey, we think we know who did that. And my word is, don't do nothing. I'll be back tomorrow. And all night long, I was talking to my father, who was just devastated. You know, my whole family was devastated. And the last person I talked to was my grandmother, Mother Annie Pearl Franklin, Church of God in Christ, who lived to be almost 102. And she put this on me, and she said, what the devil meant for evil, God was going to turn it good. And right then I called everybody and said, don't touch them devils.
Yeah. And I can actually remember the night that it happened, believe it or not, because it was all over the news. Yeah. The TV stations interviewing you, talking to different people. So I vividly remember that night when it did happen. You know, obviously, you know, even many, many years since it has happened, you have our condolences because we know how death can hurt. It could be 20, 30 years ago, but it still hurts your core. That was your daughter. So how do you move on? How do you make the best of what happened to Loisha?
Well, for me, like I said, my father, who was the strongest black man I ever met, I've never seen him devastated. I came back the next day, went straight to his house, and he was just broken. And he told me, he said, son, and then something clicked to me and said, I'm not going to let this break me. Everybody in the family. So I put all my energy into doing the charge that my grandmother gave me, the devil meant for evil. We didn't have any money. You know, I'll never forget, she was killed on October, and this is why I know it's just God's divine providence and his mission. She was murdered on October 20th, 1997. December 18th, a week before Christmas, Elihu Harris, who's become my godfather.
We love Elihu Harris, He
let us have the council chambers. Never before had a community-based organization been sitting in the dais with the city council members and the mayor sits. There was literally we counted 750 people. This is a week before Christmas. There was a line all the way down the stairs. And we had a solutions-only town hall meeting. That was the first thing. Then her birthday, a month later, on the spot she was murdered, 26 in Myrtle across the street from McClymonds. We had over 1,000 people out there. Killers, gang members. In fact, for security, we had the East Bay Dragons, the Nation of Islam, and OPD. I don't think there's ever been a collaboration. And we marched through the neighborhood where we knew the killers were from.
I'm sure that really touched your heart, knowing how involved people wanted to be in honoring your daughter, and also really finding out what happened and why. Talk to me about why did it happen?
Well, she was working part-time at McDonald's, and a young lady who they've known each other since the baby got kicked out of her house, and her mom took her in, and she got her a job at McDonald's, and they were both working at McDonald's. It was a Monday evening around 6 p.m. They were coming from their job, and they were waiting at the bus stop, and a young man they knew in the neighborhood saw them and offered them a ride. And what they didn't know, prior to them being picked up, he had gotten into a dispute with somebody, and this guy got 3 other people, right? And they were looking for them. Sometime between the time they picked them up at the bus, he picked them up at the bus stop, and they stopped by their house. They saw them and were following the car. When the car stopped, 4 assailants went in the front of the car, shooting at the driver. My daughter was sitting behind the driver, and I didn't find this out till years later. She originally was in the front seat, and she told Maya, let's switch seats because I don't want my boyfriend to think I'm with this guy. So again, divine providence.
Yeah.
This was part of her script. And they let off 30 rounds or whatever, shooting at him. He ducked, and she was killed instantly, 7 bullets, right? So, like I say, I didn't accept the fact that I was broken.
Yeah.
Flash forward 12 years later or so, I'm doing a play about Jonestown, the Guyana, and I'm playing a character whose sister was murdered, and I pull over the sheet. Instead of seeing the dummy, I saw my daughter, and I kind of blacked out. I remember the actor telling me, actually said, man, the whole place stopped. You let out a scream, and I don't even remember what happened, but then I realized I need help. I have to face this grief and try to, you know, and I've seen so many parents who've had their kids murdered, and for all intents and purposes.
So I want to stop you right there. You
Sure.
said you knew that you needed help. Where did you get the help from?
Well, there's something called Alameda County's, what is it called, Victims Assistance. And they refer you to psychiatrists and people like that. And for me, I did a little bit of individual thing, but then I just got deeper in my faith.
Yeah.
And that's like really no shade on any psychiatrist. When I would go to those group meetings, I couldn't. It's bad enough to deal with my own burden, but to hear I've heard so many horrific stories of women who I know to this day, her son was murdered right in front of her, shot him 30, 40 times. Hearing all that stories wasn't helping me. So I really just got, and Bishop Pinker. In fact, my father called me 1 o'clock in the morning, and he said, Bishop Pinker wants to help you. And he gave us the house next door. We was our office for about 5 or 6 years.
You know what? You're right. I
Never
remember
charged
that.
us a dime.
Yeah.
We just had to pay the phone bill.
Yeah.
So, as you said, you know, it's interesting. This was like a flashpoint. There's been murders before and since, but for some reason, her murder, as you alluded to, got so much attention. And again, that showed me that this was part of God's plan.
Yeah.
And it's not lost on me the meaning of her name, love life. If we truly love life, how can you kill anybody unless you're trying to save your life or your wife or your children? So it's not lost on me. Again, this was all God's plan. And I'm just, for me, it's just a matter, the 2 tenements of the Old Testament I try to live by: trust and obey. And just trust in God, knows what he's doing. And I just, I'm in the passenger seat, go along with him. And then whenever I get a commandment from him, obey.
So if you didn't have your faith, where do you think you'd be at today?
Ooh, Lord.
Good question.
I don't know. RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm sorry, Bishop. I don't know.
Who knows,
Who knows? In other words, I don't know, because again, I've been reminded, there's so many things. In fact, this whole thing that happened to me in the right before the Super Bowl, you know about that, right?
Yeah.
That was just
Okay,
God.
so let's talk about that. For those of you who are actively on social media, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a guy, MD Motivator.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he has a following of over how many million? Like
crazy.
7 million or something. So tell us what happened. Set this up, for us, and explain to our audience what happened and how you became involved.
Well, again, a young lady, a sister I know, who's a brilliant film director, who's cast me in like 4 movies of hers in the last 3 years. Anyway, she called me Wednesday night, and she goes, "What are you doing Friday at 3?" I said, I was working on Radio Row for my radio program. I'll be at the Super Bowl Radio Row. And she goes, "Can you go to an audition at 4 o'clock?" And I was like, "Well, what's it for?" She says, "I don't know." I said, "Huh? What kind of, I audition for something and I don't know what I'm auditioning for."
This is the setup. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, what? And she's like, "I wish I could tell you, but you just got to be there." So I trust her and love her implicitly. So I said, okay. So I get there, and there's a other couple people acting like they're waiting to audition. And I asked the lady who signed me in, or the young man, I said, "Are there sides? In other words, a script you read from?" He says, "No, they'll tell you what to do. So I go in there and then they say, this is what you're doing. You're auditioning for a Super Bowl commercial, which I thought was a little weird because the Super Bowl was in 2 days. So
Right.
y'all gonna shoot it and get it on the air. So I said, okay. And then I did the improv. And then the guy talked to me. But what I didn't know, they knew everything about me. She sent them about me, my career, my daughter, and everything. And he said, the guy goes, I'm not a casting director. And I go, I'm promoting. I was like, wait a minute, is this some kind of setup? What you mean?
What is this?
Are you with ICE? You think I'm Mexican right now? What's going on? So, and then he said, I want you to meet somebody. And then Darman, I believe, and he's got like 20 million. He has a studio that has 160 million followers. 160 million. And he said, we're doing a movie and we want you to play the lead in it. And I was like, wow, really? And then he said, look under your chair. And I looked under the chair and it was $10,000. And then they said, and here's Super Bowl tickets. So all of that happened. But I say that because, again, the lady who submitted me, and they submitted me amongst thousands of people, and they selected me. Again, she said, my daughter told me, your daughter told me to submit you. This is all your daughter. She said, there's something for my daddy. She said, I don't even know why I did it. But at the very last minute, she got it in like, I think the deadline was at midnight on Wednesday. She got it in like 11 something or whatever it was that night.
That is absolutely incredible. And I'd like for everyone, when you get a chance, go on social media, Instagram, MD Motivator. And actually what he does, it's kind of like Mr. Beast.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Beast. I know, I'm on social media. But they surprise people with money, with different items, where they have no idea what's going on. And Donald had absolutely no idea. I mean, I started crying when I saw that because I saw how touched you were, and that was such a beautiful thing. I love that. That's one thing that I love about social media. You can touch so many lives, and when you have a large following, you can do so much for people.
Yes.
And they knew what you needed, and they reached out and touched you, and it was absolutely beautiful. MD Motivator, please go on Instagram. Look at the taping they had with Donald Lacey, and you'll see exactly what we mean. It was absolutely beautiful. So how was the Super Bowl?
It was amazing because I'd always covered them from the media, or 4. I think I've been to 4, but I never went to the actual game. And then my son had never went.
Okay.
And so I took him, my oldest son, and I took him, and I had my father's ring. So it was like the 3 of us were there. And, you know, I was born in Canton, Ohio, but we moved to Oakland when I was about a year old. And in Ohio, for anybody who knows, is the football capital. Texas is second. Ohio. So football was our thing in the family. So we were huge Raider fans, even though they dogged us and moved and all of that. But yeah, so to be at that with my son, it was a blissful experience. Beautiful. It was beautiful.
So that was the first time you were able to go as a fan and enjoy the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With my son.
Yeah, with your son.
Yeah.
And with your father.
And my father.
Yes, with your father's spirit. That was absolutely beautiful. What we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and take a quick break. Intermission while Brother Donald Taylor and Candace, while they both bless us in song. But please don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we will continue our conversation right here on Talk Evergreen. In the meantime, we will participate in our giving. Those of us in the sanctuary will be giving, and you online can give as well. They have several ways for you to give right on the screen. And remember, on Wednesdays, all of our giving goes towards our mission, where we help supply the needs of our youth that we have adopted in Ghana. So don't forget to give, and we'll be right back after the song selection.
the streets, dying of diseases. God said this would be. Mothers against daughters, fathers against sons, people killing babies before they are born. Jesus said, don't worry, don't worry. The same way I'm going, I'm coming back again. Oh yes, keep those lamps trimmed and burning. Keep them burning. These things they need me to declare my coming. Signs of the times, signs of the times, signs of the times are showing. War and rumors of wars, nation against nation and kingdoms too. Women and men becoming lovers of themselves, people turning from the truth and believing lies. Jesus said, don't worry, don't worry. The same way I'm going, I'm coming back again. Oh yes, keep those lamps trimmed and burning. Keep them burning, for these things they need me to declare my coming. Signs of the times, signs of the times, signs of the times, signs of the times, signs of the times are showing. He's on his way. I don't know the day, but I know that God is coming. Signs of the times, signs of the times, signs of the times, signs of the times are showing. He's on his way. I don't know the day, but I know that God is coming. Signs of the times, signs of the times, signs of the times are showing.
Thank you very much, Brother Donald and Sister Candace. Welcome back again to Talk Evergreen. And I want to make sure that MD Motivator, your segment so far has over 2.4 million views.
Wow, look at God.
2.4 million views, just your segment. So please, I encourage everyone to please check it out. It's absolutely beautiful. So Donald, we want to talk about you. I know you from comedy many years ago.
That's a lot of minis.
Yeah, that's a lot of minis. So tell us about your comedy journey.
Wow. Thank you for that question. I remember when I was 5 years old, I put on a show in the garage on 107th off East 14th for my family, and I was the director, and I was the MC, and I was cracking
You were
jokes.
all the hats.
And my sister, who's 11 months older than me, she's still bitter I made her audition. She's 68. She's still bitter. She can't get over it. But I always knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then my mom was a classically trained pianist. My father was a jazz drummer. And I always, would put on little shows.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I had my first job when I graduated from college at a mental institution, which I told a few fibs to get into, and it was a behavior mod, one of the first in behavior mod programs in the United States. And we had a talent show one night, and I hosted, and then I was just going off the top of my head, and everybody was in. I said, man, I think I was already acting, but then, in this business, you have to diversify as much as possible. I started doing a radio show around that time, and then I was doing stand-up, and then I was on Comic View and Def Jam.
Right, I remember you on Comic View. And Bay Area Black Comedy Competition,
which I helped start, for the record.
Yes, you did.
We'll skip over that story for now. But anyway, so, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to make a living. And there's a lot of peaks and valleys. Some months make good money, some months not so good. So I always tell young people, I mentor a lot of young actors and comedians. I always tell them, look, if you're not going to be in this for your life, do yourself a favor, get out now.
Wow, that's good advice.
I don't mince words with that. And I have so many young actors and comedians I mentor, and I don't charge them. Now, the grown folks, I was also acting coach on a couple of shows. Martin, I was Laura Hayes' acting coach on Martin and stuff like that. So I've been able to, you know, make a living, take care of my family, and do what I love. And unfortunately, when my daughter was killed, my career had to sacrifice because I put hours and hours into getting the foundation off the ground. But it really, when you talk about mental health, for me, the stage is my sanctuary.
Okay.
That's where I know that's God gave me these gifts to share. And what I've always tried to be as an artist is to do work that moves the human race forward, particularly, and I say this everywhere I go, and I don't back away. I'm an unapologetic advocate for the Black community.
How did you know you were funny?
How did I know?
Good question, huh?
That's a good question. My mother, Mary Lacey, we just celebrated her having a baby. She would die laughing and say, my stomach hurts. And that's when I knew. When she said, my stomach, stop, boy. She would say, stop, boy, my stomach hurts.
Okay, that's good.
I knew I was funny there. But yeah, man, so but again, as an artist, I want to particularly speak for those who can't speak for themselves.
Yeah.
And raise up Black folk. And I was fortunate enough to go to San Francisco State, and while I was studying film and theater, I started taking Black studies classes, and I was educated by Angela Davis, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, rest in peace, Ray Richardson, rest in peace, Wade Nobles. So I stayed 2.5 years later and got a Black studies degree. In fact, my father was like, you an educated fool, 6.5 years of college? And I said, but Daddy, I got 2 degrees. He said, what? I said, theater arts and Black studies. He said, what that mean? You know how to act Black? Is that what that mean? But yeah, so.
I see where you got your comedy from your dad, right?
So, but you know, I think, you know, the Bible says the least of these, and for years, Black folks have been oppressed. So what I try to do with my art is to educate and inform, like my show, Color Struck, which I've been fortunate enough to tour around for 17 years now, and I keep changing it and add in, you know, the latest version is going to premiere this fall. It's called Crushed Ice. Color Struck, Crushed Ice, and it deals with the whole immigration issue. But I try to take the knowledge that all these great Black minds gave me and give it to our young people. And one of our after-school programs, part of the component is Black History. We don't just celebrate it in February.
Right.
It's a lifetime. And I was looking at this list of inventions by Black people, and there was a lot I knew, but there was a lot I didn't know. The ironing board, the curler. I mean, you could go on, almost every invention in anybody listening and watching this in their house was invented by Black folks. And we need to celebrate that and share that information, particularly to our young people.
When did the acting, when did that come about?
That came about at San Francisco State. I was trying to get into the broadcast department, and it was a waiting list. And I went in this first class. This friend of mine who's no longer in there, he said, man, you should try it. And I did this monologue from Raisin in the Sun by Walter Lee. And I'll never forget. And
One
I
of my
read it
favorite
cold,
plays,
but I was emoting and I was pounding on the floor. And then I was sweating and I felt like something. I was like, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
And man, I had the great fortune to work with Francis Ford Coppola, who saw something in me and kept me on set for 8 days. And let me watch, because I was what they called extras. The politically correct term now is background artist, whatever. And you know, a lot of the guys who was in the scene I was supposed to be in were flirting with girls, and this is Francis Ford Coppola, Robert Duvall, rest in peace. This is Francis Ford Coppola. So I'm a student of film. I'm watching him, and he says, young man, you're interested.
And not many people can say that.
He said, young man, you're interested. And I said, yes, sir, Mr. He said, tell you what, I'm going to keep you around for 8 days, and you can work with my second AD and watch how you set up a shot. And I was like, oh, yes.
Wow.
I watched this master of the craft.
And
it was like a film class, right? And so I worked with, and then the late, great August Wilson, who to me, Shakespeare couldn't hold his coat. August Wilson he captured our history, the decade plays from 1900 to 2000, and I got a chance to meet him. I did Jitney, and he was there, and I went to dinner with him, and I talked about his process, and I remember I was sitting on this panel with these scholars. It was about August Wilson after I did Gem of the Ocean, I did Jitney, Fences, and I did Fences at Cal Shakes, right? And they was like, so August Wilson does, and I said, with all due respect, Dr. So-and-so, I don't do August Wilson. August Wilson does me. In other words, his work is so spiritual, and he's so in tune with the answers, and you just have to be open and let those spirits channel through you to interpret his work. And so I feel fortunate, man. I've been blessed, man. I've had some really good opportunities to work with some really brilliant people. And Robin Williams he was just a genius. And I remember the scene, it was in the Francis Ford Coppola movie, they Manufactured Rain. They shot it in Sausalito. And after they did about 15 takes, and after the first take, we were soaking wet. And me and the other actor who was in the scene with him, in the holding area, he brought us towels. I mean, he was a big star already by then.
Wow.
And I said, thank you, Mr. Williams. And he cursed and said, it's Robin, whatever. And,
not Mr. Williams,
no,
Robin.
not Mr. Williams.
Okay.
So, and he was just generous. And so I've been lucky, man, to work with some really interesting people and I just love the craft. So I just try to learn.
When did you start directing?
First thing, here's another funny story that has my daughters taken. I just shot a movie with her last week, Cindy Herron from En Vogue, right? Who I started directing in 1984. I formed a theater company with Tony Spires, who later on we started.
Yeah, I know Tony Spires.
The Area Black Comedy. We used to do theater first. We were in the theater department together. So we did this play called Green Christmas, The Gift of Love, and Cindy Herron and Maxine were in the play. They didn't even know each other, and later on they became En Vogue.
Wow.
So, pardon me, as I saw Cindy just last weekend. We were shooting the movie and we were just recounting the story. And she was telling me, said, when we did that play, me and Maxine didn't know each other, but my daughter was in the play. She had a walk-on and one line in the play. So she was in the play with Cindy and Max when she was 4 years old. So, and then, just to see her again and work with her again. And then she said when they went to the En Vogue audition, they're like, yeah, we were in the play, Donald Lacey's play together. So I'm just amazed at how God has just moved my life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have so much history. Let's talk about radio hosts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I love radio.
Okay.
I got to get Bishop on the program. Because
okay, tell us about your show, the days and the times, and what station.
I'm on one of the few Black-owned radio stations of KPOO, which has an incredible history. In fact, hopefully, God willing, I'll be able to finish the documentary I started shooting. This station was principally most responsible for the divestment in apartheid in San Francisco, which then led to New York, Atlanta, Philadelphia, other cities divesting in apartheid, which eventually broke the back of the apartheid regime because it was economic fallout. But it was started by Joe Rudolph, Reverend Arnold Townsend, Terry Collins, people who led the student strike in San Francisco State, which I'm a beneficiary of. So I recognize, but man, it's an incredible station. I used to do Saturday mornings for 35 years from 7 to 12. We used to broadcast.
For 35 years,
yes.
Did you say that?
Yeah,
okay.
I started there when I was 18.
Okay.
I started there when I was 18. And we used to broadcast live at Everett and Jones on Saturdays, and we had town hall meetings, Dorothy King. We would feed people who actually, God bless her soul, she did a benefit for us, the Barbecue Beer and Blues Festival, which the late great Dwayne Wiggins donated his time. That's how we raised money. So man, when I just look at all the love and support that the foundation has gotten, that I have gotten, that my family has gotten, I'm just truly grateful and humbled and honored that there's an African proverb says that children choose their parents before they come into the world. Yeah. And by that analogy, I'm just grateful that my daughter chose me.
You. Absolutely. All right. Tell us the day and the time of your radio show.
So Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. And you can hear it anywhere on the internet, terrestrial radio, 89.5 FM, and www.kpoo.com.
KPOO.
Yes.
AKA KPOO.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Activists. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Well, Love Life Foundation, I'm amazed. This is our 29th year.
Wow,
We
that
have
is
eight,
amazing.
We have 8 Black kids in 4-year universities that we raise scholarship money for, that we do at the gala, where we honor Bishop as one of our honorees for all his great work that he does, not only in the pulpit, but in the community. And we honored other people like him, and people can donate. We're a 501c3. We don't have any, and I'm very proud of this fact, we don't have any full-time paid staff, including myself. It's mostly volunteer. 70% of our annual budget goes to direct services. We serve predominantly Black at-risk youth who live at or below the poverty line, not exclusively, but predominantly. And we help out their families, because a lot of them come from single parent households. In fact, I had said on that thing with that money that I won, one of the young ladies who, God bless her, she's battling cancer, and her son has been in our program since he was 8. He just graduated from high school this year, and I'm going to donate some of that money to her to help with her cancer treatments. So, lovelifefoundation.org, and it's tax deductible.
You know, I had the pleasure of attending your last gala.
Oh, yes.
And I tell you all, it was so first class. I was so proud of what you have accomplished and everyone else that works with you, because a lot of times, you know, sometimes we'll have events and okay, the food was cold, or they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Everything was first class.
Thank you.
I love the fact that the youth that you work with, that they were there. They got a chance to be involved. They got a chance to speak. Everything was absolutely lovely. So, I mean, I give you all kind of accolades for putting on a first-class gala. And for the people who you honored, you talked about our Bishop Brandon, who was honored, along with several other people. How do you choose who to honor each year?
We like to the first criterion is people who've done the work and who do the work.
Yeah,
and obviously, Bishop is one of those people.
Yeah.
You know, as well as Marcus King, who has been in, you know, Jamie Foxx's manager for 20 years, put that Oscar on the show. He kept me working when I wasn't working, had me in Hollywood working on a pilot for Jamie that didn't get picked up. But people like that who supported me, but the first criterion is what they do in the community.
Yeah.
And the second criterion is how they've supported me. And of course, as you know, Bishop has been a blessing to me and the foundation as well. He made a very substantial donation before we even really knew each other that well, you know, and I said, wow. And then I just started seeing all the work he was doing, feeding the unhoused and all of that. So that's really the criteria, people who are doing good in the world.
Right.
And the third criterion is a lot of times it's people that don't get the shine, who are kind of unsung heroes. So those are the ones we look for.
Okay, and speaking of our bishop, I understand that you have a special presentation
And I
for
didn't know
him.
Bishop was going to be here, but since
But
he is
we're
here,
going to show it on air
We're gonna show
because
it?
I thought it was appropriate for Donald to do his presentation
just
during
saw
Talk
it.
Evergreen.
Hold
Yes.
on. Hold on, did it disappear?
We see all that green he's pulling out.
Hold on, this is a
Okay,
check.
we know it's there
It's
somewhere.
in here somewhere. Didn't I just look in my pocket for it? The devil's a liar, the truth ain't in him.
But he asked me if he could do a presentation
take it out of
to
my pocket?
Bishop this evening,
It's a
and I
check
asked
for
him to do it live.
$500.
Wow, a
It's a
check
check
for
for
$500.
And somebody watching this match me. and you know what?
Okay.
I just look. I have it. I got it. Either way.
But we
I'm good
also
for
know Donna is a comedian, so that's not a
That
joke,
ain't a
is
joke.
it?
No, I would never come in the Lord's house and joke about money. There's some things I will not. I don't joke about the Lord's money. Are you kidding me?
Okay,
I'm
if
not
anybody
into some-
sees a check for $500, you know,
here it
make sure
is.
to get.
Here it
Oh,
is.
there. Okay, all right.
Now, I'm a
Look
man
at
of my
God.
word.
Look at God. All right. Yes.
And this don't got no rubber in it. It will not bounce. This is a real good check. But it's just my token of appreciation.
Yes. Okay.
You know, I brought my son a couple weeks ago, and he's been working. He promised he's going to come this week, but I brought him maybe a couple months ago, And I'm trying to get both of my sons to get more into God and to the church. And he came in here and he was like, I don't think I told you this. He was like, Dad, I feel like that's the first time I really been to church.
Wow,
and I wasn't just sitting there, but I got a blessing.
Yeah.
And he said it was like Bishop was talking to him and what he was going through.
That's absolutely
that's
beautiful.
How you know it's a true man of God.
Yeah. You know, and comments like that, I hear so much. That's why here at Evergreen Missionary Baptist Church of Oakland, California, we have, I remember Bishop Pinkert used to say all the time, a church without children and a youth is a church with no growth.
Yes.
And Evergreen has so much growth because we have our seeds, our children.
Yes.
We have YAM, Young Adult Ministry, where they're growing by leaps and bounds. And they want to be here because they feel like Bishop is speaking directly to them. And we have something for them to do. If you don't have anything for these children and for the youth to do, guess what? They're going to find something to do someplace else.
Yes. And by the way, the young lady who did the praise dance last Sunday.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes.
my God.
Miss Capri. Miss Capri.
Incredible.
Absolutely wonderful.
Incredible.
Yeah. She is great. Our dancers are absolutely wonderful. And again, we are allowing young people, or anyone for that matter, to use their talents for the glory of God. And that's what Evergreen is all about. Our theme, which has always been our theme, is a church of love.
Yes.
And people have to feel that love, and we make sure that everyone feels loved here at Evergreen. Every Sunday we have new people that come. We have lovely couples that join every Sunday. And we love the fact that Bishop always makes a comment, let's attack them with love.
Yes.
And that's what we do.
Yes.
You know, you have to hug, you have to touch,
Yes.
you have to feel one another.
Yes.
Otherwise, a church just becomes a cold building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Amen.
something that Evergreen is not, a cold building. And it warms my heart that every Sunday that we see you when you can make it, and you are always in the service. And we are so proud, Brother Lacey, to have you as a member of Evergreen. You've been a member for a while, but we are so proud to have you as a member of Evergreen, and we thank you so much for allowing us to talk to you this evening. Because you have so many accomplishments. We can go on and on and on, but we wanted to make sure we honored Love Life Foundation, and also, more importantly, we honor that beautiful lady right there, Loisha. So, Donald, sorry to say, we're not out of message, but we are out of time. Be sure to follow us on all social media
Thank you for joining us for another edition of Talk
at Evergreen of Oakland. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this broadcast. And remember to join us every Sunday for our 8 a.m. Express Worship Experience, followed by our 9:30 Sunday School class and our 11 a.m. worship. Thank you all for watching. Have a blessed night, and we'll see you next week on Talk Evergreen.
Good job.